Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be here today representing ACS Infrastructure, a long-time supporter of the Council. My name is Vicente Maraña, and I serve as ACS Executive Vice President for Project Development in North America. ACS believes in building a better future through the development and operation of infrastructure that helps the economic and social progress of the countries where we are present. We are proud of our track record in delivering more than 150 P3 projects internationally, as our industry gathers today in Toronto to mark the 30th anniversary of the C2P3 conference. We also reflect with pride on all that we have accomplished side by side with our Canadian clients, partners, colleagues, and friends during these 3 decades of success. ACS has been involved in the successful delivery of P3s across Canada since 2007, including Montreal's A30 project, the Northeast Anthony Henday project in Edmonton, the Right Honourable Herbray Parkway in Windsor, and the new Champlain Bridge, also in Montreal. Right now, we are partnering with several of you in the room on critical infrastructure such as the Gordie Howe International Bridge and Eglinton and Finch West LRTs here in Toronto. Our expertise, from having developed some of the world's most unique P3s, coupled with our commitment to innovation, sustainability, and good governance, allows us to look into the future with optimism as our industry explores improved procurement models that address the challenges we have been confronted with. And what an honor it is for me to introduce Lisa Mitchel, President and CEO of the Canadian Council of Public-Private Partnerships, as the opening keynote speaker at the C2P3 2022. As Mark Ben mentioned earlier, Lisa joined the Council as President and CEO just under a year ago. As an advocate for Canada's P3 model and market, Lisa has led extensive research initiatives on the model to position Canada as a global leader. She is a recognized thought leader in Canada and internationally, and is the former chair of the Senior Infrastructure and PPP Officials Network at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Before joining the Council, she served as Senior Director of Investments, Partnerships, and Innovation at Infrastructure Canada. She was also part of the team at PPP Canada, where she led the strategic planning as well as policy and communications for the Crown Corporation. In her keynote, Lisa will celebrate the successes of the past 30 years of public-private partnerships, while also detailing the challenges and opportunities that exist as the market changes and evolves to meet the needs of Canadians. She will also lay out her vision for how the Council is adapting to become more nimble and responsive to the needs of its members and the authoritative voice on innovative infrastructure in Canada. We at ACS are greatly encouraged to see that Lisa's work on tackling the challenges our industry faces is already underway. We are very much looking forward to working with her closely to ensure that successful P3s continue to be delivered for decades to come. And with that, I am pleased to welcome onto the stage Lisa Mitchel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vicente, and good morning. Welcome, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with everyone in person once again. I think that's been a theme thus far this morning. For years, I have been coming to this conference. I've always been one of the people in the audience, and I'll admit it's a bit different seeing everyone from this vantage point. Those of you who've been to the event before, you may be thinking that it's a bit unusual for me to be speaking at the outset of the conference, but I can assure you it's quite deliberate. As President and CEO of the Council, I'm very eager to talk with you because I think we have a lot to talk about. For one thing, it is the 30th anniversary of this conference, which is very much something to celebrate. But it's also an important moment for our industry, a time of challenge, for sure, but also of opportunity. That's why we've brought together a who's who of the P3 industry for the next 2 days. So let's have meaningful discussions over these few days. Let's talk about what we can do better and what we can do different. And let's reflect on how the Council can help you achieve your goals, support the industry that everyone in this room has worked so hard to develop. This is my first opportunity to speak directly with you collectively since I came on the job late last year. Over that time, I've been working hard to meet and connect with our members and stakeholders, to listen and to understand. I've spent more than a decade working in our industry. I've certainly been around long enough to know that in this line of work, progress is very rarely linear. There are times when external forces seem to line up against us, exerting their influence on the partnership model. I think that's undeniably true today. There are a host of economic factors at work, including inflation, supply chain issues, commodity prices, and labor market challenges. There are societal factors highlighted by the COVID pandemic and its seemingly infinite ripple effects. In some cases, there are even reputational factors brought about by high-profile P3 projects that have had to confront challenges of their own. And these external forces are having an impact. Some projects have been delayed or canceled. Others are being reevaluated in the context of affordability pressures. A decade ago, we passed through a period when all signs pointed to yes. By and large, everything lined up to favor the kinds of projects we pursue. Today, well, the golfers out there will know what I mean when I say we're playing into a bit of a headwind. We've got to work harder and work different, and we need to be patient. We need to remember that the direction of the wind and its intensity are always subject to change. Headwinds become tailwinds. In times of challenge, it's only natural to cast around in search of new ways, new methods, new models. But here's the reality, and I would wager that everyone in this room has enough experience to agree. Any model for the building of major projects is going to have its issues, especially in hard economic times. That's the nature of the business. It's incredibly complex, and it can also be fragile. This isn't the first time we've had to rethink what we do and how we do it. It's not the first time we've had to reflect and reposition ourselves. The secret to our success over the years has been a willingness to adapt, to take and apply lessons, to revise and improve our best practices, to never stand still or become complacent. The P3 model has endured through it all, changing and evolving as needed to adapt and remain not only relevant, but indispensable. And the evidence is compelling. Let's remember, we started off slowly, 1 or 2 projects a year in the early 90s, some of them off balance sheet. But with the introduction of provincial agencies and a shift in accounting standards, we were able to grow the market. Unlike some of our counterparts in Europe, we didn't just weather the economic crisis of the early 2000s. We recorded our largest number of transactions to date, with more than 20 projects in 2007, and almost 15 in each of the following 2 years. With the creation of PPP Canada and the P3 Canada Fund, we expanded the use of the model into new regions, new provinces, territories, federally as well as municipally, bringing new asset classes such as water and wastewater, energy from waste, public transit, and a major bridge or two into the market. But the industry has faced some significant challenges despite reaching an all-time high in 2015-16. The report of the Auditor General of Ontario, changes in government in Alberta and now British Columbia, the exit of key market participants, and the wind down of PPP Canada. And through the pandemic, government and the private sector navigated an unprecedented set of circumstances while trying to stay on time and on budget. We had to cope with differing public health measures across the country. We had to adapt, sometimes daily, to changing rules and guidelines to keep employees safe. We needed to find innovative solutions to ensure the progress of projects like the Clecho All-Season Road in the Northwest Territories. And we had to overcome the odds to reach substantial completion, like the Hamilton Biosolids project. It was 30 years ago that a small group of P3 enthusiasts created the conference. There are many to name, but visionaries such as James McLaren and the Honorable Donald MacDonald. They saw it as a way of sharing information and educating companies and governments about the potential of the partnership model. They believed it could change the way we build, operate, and maintain critical infrastructure. 3 decades later, this Made in Canada model has achieved global recognition. It's been embraced by other nations. It has made a difference in what gets built and when. We haven't just claimed that the P3 model works. We've proved it. Time and time again, you've proved it. You in this room have delivered high-quality infrastructure and key services. You have shown the benefits and advantages of P3s to taxpayers. You have demonstrated how governments are able to harness the experience and the expertise of the private sector, which brings an innovative and efficient eye to complex undertakings. To be honest, I could devote the full length of my remarks and then some to the achievements we've seen in the industry over the past 3 decades. P3s have been successful across the country and across a range of sectors. Over 100 healthcare facilities, more than 75 transportation assets, education, justice, and more. Hundreds of projects that are publicly owned, publicly controlled, and publicly accountable. Projects that have delivered value for taxpayers and improved quality of life for people across our country and the communities we live in. Better healthcare in Vaughan, Ontario. Improved drinking water quality in St. John, New Brunswick. Increased safety for travelers through Regina, Saskatchewan. And I really do encourage everyone to see for themselves what the industry has accomplished by taking a walk through the anniversary photo gallery just down the hall, sponsored by Bruce Power. Today, our priorities at the Council are very much being shaped by the realities of the market. Yes, we will continue to hold events like this because we understand the value of coming together and sharing ideas and best practices. But we'll do more than that. We're going to help facilitate a productive dialogue, not just at events, but all year round. We're going to put a priority on policy and communications so that decision makers at all levels understand the benefits of the P3 model and the talents that the private sector brings to the job. And we're going to do more research and more roundtables with a focus on the most relevant and meaningful areas of interest so that you get information and knowledge that you can put to work in your own offices and on your own job sites. And so that we can serve you more effectively as the voice of the industry and an advocate for the work that you do. Simply put, our aim at the Council is to serve you even better and give you even more. As our outgoing chair likes to say, and I think he did say it again this morning, we need to have the fierce conversations to bring the people together to make change happen. And we've already gotten started. When the federal government released its potentially devastating new tax legislation, EIFEL, for consultation, we sprang into action. We worked closely with our members, not only to convey our concern, not only to submit a response, but also to propose specific wording for legislative changes. Earlier this month, the government released the updated version of the legislation. And while there may be some work left to be done, I am pleased to say that we were successful in protecting the P3 industry with an exemption. I would encourage everyone here to give a round of applause to BBGI, BDO, Torys, McCarthy Tetro, ACS, KPMG, and others for their hard work and expertise. Thank you. During the pandemic, we introduced our Candid Conversations platform. It's a way to bring our members together, no matter where they are in the country, to talk about issues that matter. To give just one example, our discussion series on the rising costs of doing business. These conversations have raised several key issues related to fixed price contracts and the impacts of commodity risk, labor shortages, and inflation. We're going to keep those conversations going, including over the next 2 days. We are going to continue to highlight pressing concerns and innovative solutions. It's also an opportunity for the Council to play a leadership role in bringing the broader infrastructure industry together on mutual areas of concern. We are part of a broader ecosystem. Some of the issues we're facing may not be unique to the P3 industry, but we do know that there are always specific considerations when we're dealing with long-term contracts that involve private sector financing. You may notice some changes at the conference as well, especially our new Innovations Marketplace, where we're showcasing companies and organizations that are bringing new ideas and energy to the sector. As president and CEO, I believe the value of an organization like ours rests on our ability to read and react to the reality of the day. It's harder out there right now, and we are determined to serve you better and give you more to work with. We are so fortunate at the Council because we have so much expertise and experience to draw on from the people in this room and from all across the country. People who understand when the P3 model makes sense for all partners. People who grasp the importance of getting back to the fundamentals of what we do and how we do it. And emphatically putting the magical third P, partnership, back at the forefront of the model. In this moment of uncertainty, we have the chance now to better define the way forward. So let's be clear about what we aim to achieve and what key attributes we feel are necessary to get there. Things like whole of life cycle approach, risk transfer to the party best able to manage it, allowing and encouraging innovation and efficiencies, and leveraging private capital as a key enabler. None of this is new, but all of it is important as we work to evolve the P3 model and set it up for another generation of success. That's why over the next few days, we have sessions focused on these fundamentals, like the importance of the operations and maintenance phase in P3s, and the need for private finance. It's also why our new vision and mission statements reflect these principles. But we also need to look forward and prepare for how we handle the transition when P3 projects reach the end of their contract. That's something we're going to need to focus on in the years ahead. The handback itself, but also the analysis required to demonstrate whether we achieved value for Canadians. The result of that analysis becomes a proof point, a calling card as we work to secure more projects in the future. In the meantime, infrastructure spending remains at an all-time high. The federal government alone is spending more than $30 billion on infrastructure this year. We're seeing projects that are bigger than ever and more complex than ever. Some are in traditional areas like hospitals, highways and other transportation priorities, railways and ports. But we're also seeing projects in new and emerging sectors, like green energy and broadband, sectors where Canada hopes to emerge as a world leader. We all want to build great projects that deliver the greatest benefits for Canadians now and for decades to come. I know that we can adapt the P3 model to explore these new asset classes and harness innovative thinking on how best to deliver a project. And that's a big part of what we'll be focusing on here for the next 2 days. Because I believe not only in the viability, but in the superiority of the P3 model. And yeah, it's been knocked around a bit, but it hasn't been knocked down or knocked out. We live in a time where people are focused more than ever on what divides us, which makes what we do even more remarkable, because we're all about partnerships and cooperation. We're all about showing what people and governments can do when they come together and work together to tackle climate change, grow the economy, and build resilient and reliable infrastructure for this generation and the next. We've seen the model work in the past. We see how it can continue to work into the future, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't seek change. There's a term you sometimes hear politicians use, nation building. It used to mean projects like the Transcontinental Railway, which spanned the country and brought us closer together as Canadians. Today, we are the nation builders. We don't just build projects, we build Canada. Road by road, bridge by bridge, institution by institution, we come together and find ways to make hard things happen. We improve the daily lives of Canadians. We create a legacy not just for ourselves and our organizations, but for communities and for our country as a whole. There will always be moments of challenge. There will always be times when moving forward is harder and the path is less clear. But those of you here today, you've shown that challenges can be overcome, changes can be made, solutions can be found. I came to this job because I saw untapped potential in what the Council can do for you and for what we all can do together for Canada. I do hope you enjoy the next 2 days, renewing friendships, making new ones, and getting up to speed on the prospects for our industry in the years ahead. And please, don't hesitate to stop me, say hello, share your views. Thank you, and enjoy the conference.